Hey everyone, and welcome. If you work on digital products, you already know that accessibility is a total non-negotiable. But how you get there, well, that can be the difference between a smooth launch and a last-minute panic. So today, we're going to dive into an approach called Shift Left, which is all about building accessibility in from the start, not just bolting it on at the end.
Have you ever had this happen? You're so close to the finish line, the product looks amazing, and then, bam, an accessibility audit lands on your desk and it is full of massive, deep-rooted issues. All of a sudden, a tiny little design choice from months ago has exploded into a huge, expensive problem. Sound familiar? Yeah, it's a story a lot of us know all too well.
So what's the real culprit here? Well, it's a process most of us have been taught. We save all the accessibility checks for the very end. We treat it like a final checkbox, a last-minute QA step. But you know what? That whole approach is fundamentally broken. It just sets teams up to fail.
And the fallout from this isn't small. It creates this huge cascade of problems. You find a core issue way too late in the game, and suddenly you're facing costly delays. You've got designers and developers scrambling in different directions, just trying to patch things up. Not to mention the serious compliance and legal risks. And at the end of the day, it just means a worse experience for your users and a much bigger bill for the project.
You know, the best way to think about it is like building a house. Fixing a mistake on the blueprint? That's easy. You just need an eraser. But fixing the foundation after the walls and the roof are already on? Whoa. Now you're talking about bringing in a demolition crew. It's the exact same idea here. A quick tweak in a design file is proactive, it's cheap. But changing something that's already been fully coded, that's reactive, it's slow, and it is so much more expensive.
So, if waiting to the end is the problem, what's the answer? Well, it's a really simple but incredibly powerful idea called Shift Left, and it has the power to completely change how we build things for the better.
Shifting left is exactly what it sounds like. We take accessibility from the end of the project timeline and literally shift it to the beginning. It's about making accessibility part of the conversation from day one, during wireframing, during prototyping. It's a mindset shift that stops huge problems from ever happening in the first place, long before a single line of code gets written.
Okay, so the concept makes sense, but what's the real payoff here? What are the tangible benefits of actually doing this? Because this isn't just about doing the right thing, it's about working smarter, faster, and just being way more effective.
And if you need proof, just look at this number, 30x. Research has shown that fixing an accessibility issue back in the design phase can be up to 30 times cheaper than fixing that same issue after the product is already built. I mean, that's not a small difference, that is a massive, game-changing difference.
And the benefits go so much further than just the budget. When accessibility is baked into the design process, you naturally slash rework and delays. You get designers and developers on the same page from the start, which means way smoother handoffs. And, most importantly, you just build a better, more inclusive product for everyone. Because a design that's accessible from the start is just a better design, period.
All right, the why is crystal clear, but it's the how that really matters, right? So let's get practical. Let's look at the actual blueprint for putting this shift left idea into practice right there in the design stage. What's really interesting is that a huge chunk of the official Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, or WCAG, aren't actually coding issues. They're design decisions. We're talking about things like color contrast, making sure fonts are readable, designing a logical navigation, even providing text alternatives for icons. These are all things that are decided in the design phase. If you get them right in the prototype, you avoid massive headaches down the line.
But here's the thing. A visual design can only say so much on its own. It can't communicate everything. And that's where annotations become your absolute superpower. They're basically the notes and instructions you add to your designs that act as a translator for your developers, explaining the why behind your accessibility choices.
So, what kind of stuff should you be annotating? Well, key things like the exact order for keyboard navigation, what a screen reader should announce for certain elements, that's where area labels come in, or even just what the alt text for an important image should be. These notes take all the guesswork out of it for the developer and make sure the final product is built to be just as accessible as you designed it to be.
Feeling ready to jump in? Good. Here are 5 things any designer can start doing today. 1. Structure your content with proper headings. 2. Double-check your color contrast. 3. Design a clear and obvious focus state for keyboard users. 4. Don't only use color to give information. And 5. Make sure every single form field has a clear, visible label. Seriously, these small habits can make a gigantic impact.
Okay, let's get real for a second. Shifting left sounds fantastic in theory, right? But actually making it happen isn't always a walk in the park.
It's really important to talk about the real-world hurdles your team might face when you try to make this switch.
Look, designers might need some extra training, and it can feel like just one more thing to worry about when deadlines are tight. It absolutely requires a culture shift where accessibility becomes everyone's job, not just one person's. Some people even worry it'll limit their creativity, though honestly, most find it sparks even better ideas. Getting past these hurdles takes real commitment, teamwork, and importantly, support from the top. So, when you boil it all down, after looking at the problem, the solution, and the practical steps, it all comes back to this one crucial idea. We have to stop thinking of accessibility as a final checkbox to tick off a list. It needs to be a core, foundational principle of what we all consider to be truly excellent design.
And that really just leaves us with one final question for you to take back to your team. Take a good hard look at how you work. Is your design process accidentally creating barriers that you have to tear down later? Or is it building bridges from the very beginning, making sure everyone can get across? The choice, really, is yours. Thanks so much for joining me.